shield.
Confirmation. Visual on the target.
Activating camera!
Tango in my sights.
Camera in position!
Get behind me!
Tango located!
Hostiles in sight!
In the beliefs of the ancient Norse, it was thought that there were warrior maidens who watched over the battlefield, prepared to rush to the aid of those deserving and to ferry away the souls of those who died bravely in battle. Those Valkyries were ever vigilant, ever present, and mighty in power. To have one of these warrior maidens at your back is reassuring, and Rainbow certainly has one to call upon. Her name is Megan, and she is a Valkyrie. Megan Castellano was born and raised in Oceanside, California. Her father was a Marine Corps colonel, and her mother was a biotech researcher. The party life of the California coast was ever a temptation for Megan, but it never grabbed her attention. Megan excelled in mathematics, science, and athletics. In fact, Megan had an intense love for swimming. As a young lady, she had the potential to go to the Olympics for her skill in the 200-meter breaststroke. However, after breaking her arm in a car accident, her Olympic ambitions faded. Refocusing her efforts, Megan turned to the Navy, where she served for 4 years before leaving to attend college. She graduated with a computer science degree, specializing in security and cryptography, and she then returned to work for the Navy in the Information Dominance Corps, where she ran recon and intel ops for a few years, even assisting in Operation Orange Sky to assist GROM operator Ella. When the Navy SEAL program opened itself to women, Megan quickly applied. It was grueling and bitter work for her. Her Hell Week was overseen by Craig Jensen, also known as Blackbeard, and it took many very difficult years, but at long last, Megan made it into the SEALs, wanted to be a role model inspiration for others to follow in her footsteps. On one of her more dangerous missions in South America, she met CIA agent Karen Bowman, who was undercover there. The two became friends, as Karen provided Megan with valuable intel to help her out of her operation, and in turn, Megan promised to return the favor. In 2016, Rainbow invited Megan and her instructor Blackbeard to join, and both accepted. Joining Rainbow was not an easy thing, it seemed. Megan was also accustomed to being the smartest one in the room and the strongest. She wanted to be an inspiration for others, and someone people could look up to. But in Rainbow, she was surrounded by peers of equal and even superior skill sets, and this knowledge worried her. She can't lean on Blackbeard for support, as she isn't overly fond of him, partly due to the history they share where he was her Hell Week instructor. She also developed a growing resentment for and tension with Caveira due to an event in Bolivia in 2019. Caveira went off the grid to rescue her brother, who was captured and being tortured by the Santa Blanca drug cartel. Reaching out to her contact Karen Bowman, Megan then used her codename Valkyrie and ran a recovery op alongside Twitch to find Cav and bring her home. The op was successful, both in finding Cav and rescuing her brother, thanks to the help of Bowman and Ghost Recon Team, which was already working in Bolivia at the time. However, when Cav's brother refused to offer information on Santa Blanca to Bowman or the Recon Team, Karen threatened him, which led to Cav becoming fierce and defensive, hurting the relationship between Rainbow and Ghost Recon, as well as nearly destroying the goodwill Valkyrie had with Karen Bowman.
Thank you for the help.
I was afraid you'd get lost, operating outside for once.
Hey, she can read a compass. And let's keep this one amongst friends. We don't need anyone else knowing one of our operators went off res.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to cause any trouble.
Then you should have stayed home.
Don't make me choose between my duty and my family.
Now that you've had your happy reunion, I'd like to have a little chat with Dengozo.
He's Policia Federal. He doesn't have to talk to you.
Your big sister fights for you. Does she talk for you too? I want what you have on El Sueño. You have his location?
Discúlpame, but I don't work for you.
We just pulled your ass out of a very hot fire.
That doesn't change my answer.
I'd hate to see a nice boy like you get renditioned to someplace dark and lonely. Just so you can answer a couple of questions you could just as well answer here.
You threatening my brother?
Just expressing some concern. Amongst friends.
After I report to my superiors, if they give me permission to share what I know, I'll contact you.
By the time it gets through that red tape, that intel will be useless.
Yeah? But it's the thought that counts.
Counts for what?
Let's get out of here. I think we may have overstayed our welcome.
Sorry to be kind of bad house guests.
Well, we've been getting all kinds of visitors these days.
You didn't mean all that about rendition, did you?
She didn't mean it. You ladies take care now.
Au revoir.
Valkyrie was furious with Cav for not only going AWOL, but also for being so disagreeable with other operational forces. Meanwhile, Cav argued that her family came first, and that was the end of it. The two never really saw eye to eye again. Valkyrie was at a loss, as she had respected her teammates, but was afraid she didn't measure up to them, despite all she had done. Valkyrie doesn't have many hobbies or outlets outside of her work, and even her vacation period isn't spent traveling, but on a beach in California. Director Harry noted that Valkyrie seeks self-improvement, but not for the right reasons. She isn't doing it to help the team, but rather to make herself measure up when she doesn't necessarily need to. Her inability to accept her faults or weaknesses and her over-eagerness to be perfect in spite of them will cause more tension between her and her squad mates. Valkyrie has to learn how to work on a team and let herself relax a little, but there was little time for relaxation after the Nighthaven split. In 2022, when Nighthaven officially cut ties with Rainbow after the infamous Rainbow split, Harry confided in Valkyrie a secret that he'd been keeping. That part of the reason he brought Nighthaven into Rainbow was to help keep them under control. Nighthaven, as a mercenary organization, was available to the highest bidder, and those bidders could well be hostiles. Now that Nighthaven had split, taking several operatives with them, Harry needed to know what they were up to and who might be hiring them. He sent Valkyrie to their Singapore base to spy on Nighthaven and get an estimation of their layout, strength, and possible clients. During her investigation, Valkyrie found information that incriminated Nighthaven in criminal activity, but at the behest of a hostile organization or on their own volition, they weren't quite sure yet. Harry determined that Rainbow was too large an organization now to properly contend with Nighthaven effectively, so they had to be broken down into the squad levels. Valkyrie was put in Ghost Eye's squad under the leadership of Kavera. The decision did not sit well with either, who both believed the other to be a liability, but Harry was adamant. He needed the two women to put aside their differences for the good of the group. He knew Valkyrie would never betray Rainbow, and he also knew that she could keep Cav in line. So far, it seems to have worked, though time will tell. Valkyrie has a one-track mind. She does whatever is necessary to accomplish her goal, and has a hard time quitting, even when she probably needs to. Tenacity can be a blessing, but it can also be a curse. Those who don't learn to let go often find themselves holding on to something that will harm them in the long run. Valkyrie is a wonderful member of Rainbow, but if she doesn't learn to let go and be honest with herself, she may find herself in a dire need at the end of the day. Valkyrie's gadget are 3 Mark II black-eye gyro cameras, small baseball-sized cameras with a sticky surface that can be tossed onto and deployed on almost any solid surface. Valkyrie has 3 total cameras and can throw them on roofs, walls, floors, ceilings, pillars, almost any solid surface. And once deployed, the camera is accessible to all operators. The camera can rotate vertical and horizontal almost 180 degrees, and the visual given from the camera is blue tinted and colored, meaning it provides more detail than just what normal cameras can provide. When a black eye is being looked through, the camera will glow blue, allowing attackers to see it easier and destroy it. The cameras are vulnerable to gunshots, explosives, Thatcher's EMP grenades, and Twitch drones. If a camera is deployed outside of the map, it will deactivate after 12 seconds. Valkyrie can retrieve any camera she's deployed if it's within reach of her, and because they are easily seen, it's advised to place the cameras in careful locations that are either hard for the attackers to spot, or in areas where it's vital to have eyes open to see attackers coming. The intel she can provide can be the difference between victory and defeat.
Op 4 has located the bomb.
Now, in terms of loadout, Valkyrie comes with 2 primaries and 1 secondary. The MPX submachine gun is a very jack-of-all-trades machine gun. It has a lower damage output than the MP5, but makes up for that with a faster rate of fire, as well as a tighter and more controllable recoil. It's overall a decent gun to have on hand, and while not necessarily beginner-friendly, the veterans of FPS games will find this gun easy to use and to handle.
Second floor.
Next is the SPAS, or SPAS 12 shotgun. It's a semi-automatic 12-gauge shotgun that boasts average damage per shot, being able to kill light and medium armored operators in a single shot at effective range, assuming all 4 pellets hit, and 2 shots for heavy armored operators. It has a minimal damage drop-off, and because it's semi-automatic, it will cycle shells relatively swiftly. It also has rather controllable recoil for a shotgun. However, it has a lower than average rate of fire, even among semi-automatic shotguns, but it's this fact that makes it easier to control.
That's a lot of shells.
Sensor on. Let's see what I can find.
Op 4, last stop standing.
And finally, her famous D50 Desert Eagle handgun. A devastating close-range 50 caliber handgun. Each shot delivers a high damage output that can down all armor-type operators in just 2 shots in close range. It also has soft destructive capability, making you able to punch holes through walls and soft surfaces, which Valkyrie can use to get a good line of sight for her cameras. However, it has a very strong recoil, meaning that using it in close range is mandatory, or you'll swiftly lose control of the gun. It may be Valkyrie's only secondary, but with a monster like this, it's all she needs.
Going or stop. It's up to you.
When it comes to strategy, Valkyrie works best in coordination with her teammates. Plant cameras on common entryways and rooms where attackers will enter and be prepared to flank. Be sure the cameras are in hard-to-notice locations. Once an attacker enters, mark them for your team, and then, when ready, flank their position to take them down. Another good strategy is to find a common entryway and plant a camera there to view it. As an attacker enters the area, you can judge your best course of action. I personally like to mark them. Marking the enemy not only informs the team of their location, but also spooks the attacker into either rushing in hastily or retreating to find a new entryway not covered by cameras. While they're confused, you can take them down. Valk works well with operators like Mute, who can prevent drones from seeing her cameras, and she can also work well with Kavera and Pulse to provide them intel for their lurking around. I also recommend teaming up with Alibi, who can keep attackers distracted with their Prisma deployers so that they're looking for cameras and so that they're looking at her and not the cameras. In conclusion, before I made this video, I was worried to tackle Valkyrie because honestly, I thought she was one of the weaker operators. Her guns are on the low end of average, her gadget is basically obsolete when you have characters like Maestro and Mozzie, and some characters having bulletproof cameras that can come mounted with EMP lasers. What's the point in her? But I quickly learned the versatility of placement Valk has that's outstanding. Her camera's ability to swivel and see so much quickly is also a fantastic resource. Yes, her guns aren't the most powerful in the game, but Valk's primary role is teamwork, to communicate and to inform her allies of enemy positions for coordination, and honestly that makes up for a lot. Just like the ancient Norse, Rainbow has a guardian angel watching over the battlefield. Or, rather, they have a Valkyrie. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.